Hey guys, this is the baby bird that we're going to be making. I posted it last year on Facebook and I got a lot of people asking about it. I apologize if the focus isn't very good. I'm just working with my phone for now. Be getting a laptop and get a camera on it so it'll make things easier. But this is what she looks like. When I posted it, I had a lot of people asking me how to make it, and I'm going to show you. It's really, really simple. It's beginner friendly. Um, doesn't require a whole lot. You're going to need foam. Lots of foam. If you don't have a block of foam like that, then you can make a block out of sheets that you glue together. But you are going to need pretty thick for the body. This is a sheet of foam here. This is for the wings, so it doesn't have to be really thick, just what you're comfortable working with, and you'll see why really soon. You're going to need resin. I know not a lot of beginners have resin. I didn't get resin right away, but it's something that you're going to want to get. Doesn't matter what type you use. I use Solares. You can use Loon, you can use Glove, there's Deer Creek, there's all kinds. Whatever you want to use, that's fine, but you do need the resin for the bird. You're also going to need an adhesive. I use a Zap-A-Gap because it's really easy to get, moderately priced, etc., etc. We have some arrow tip scissors here. You don't have to have arrow tip. They just help out a lot. The other thing that you're going to want is a pin. You can use a bodkin if you want. I use these pins because the ball spreads resin around very nicely. Makes it really easy to work with. The tip puts resin in hard to reach areas. Pretty precise to work with. Sorry about that. Doesn't matter what kind of thread you use. You just want it to be an okay thickness so you have you make grooves basically for the glue to sit in. Pretty beginner stuff, we all know that. You have here these, I like to use the wide gape hooks because you want a good distance between the breast of the baby bird and the hook itself, and that's just for setting purposes. If it's too close, you're not going to set it on the fish. And I think right now that's really about it. An optional thing to have is a nail file, and I'll explain that in a little bit. I work with resin a lot, so having these comes in handy sometimes. So let's go ahead and get this ball rolling here. I'm going to try to make this video faster, but enough where you can really get it. So we have our hook right there, and we're just going to go ahead and wrap it. Doesn't matter how many times, you do it as much as you want. This is basically just making a platform for the glue to set when we put the body around the hook right there. So it doesn't matter what color, and the same goes for the foam too. It doesn't matter what color you use. If you want to avoid painting the bird, then try to find a foam that you won't really have to mess with, like pink. Most baby birds are very fleshy and pink, so just do some spread out wraps there. I'm not going to bother whip finishing it because it doesn't really matter. This isn't like super necessary. We just got to get this tied on there so we can get it glued down. And just gonna put that on there real quick. Let that sit for a minute. So what you need to do, and I just went ahead and pre-cut this so that way we didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, is you're going to want to cut a football shape or a tear shape. Don't worry about it if it doesn't come out the shape you want it, because you can trim it while it's on the hook. Preferably make it a little bit bigger so that way you have some to trim. If you make it too small, then it's harder to fix. But you want a little football shape. Now be conscious of the back. The back you're going to want to keep flat, and that's so it's easier for the wings to set on and the head to set on. So we're going to cut that. We're done with that. Now I use a razor blade, but you can use scissors if you want. You're going to find the breast part of that bird right here and try to find the middle. And basically just cut on in there. If you just do your best to center it. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But If you cut crooked, then you're going to have a crooked bird. So right here, I'm just showing you, you want it pretty far in there. You don't want it too far, but you want it pretty far in there. And the reason being is because if it's too shallow, it's going to set too high on the hook. And you have a chance of ripping it off. So once you're done, you spread the body and you can put it right here. Kind of get an idea where you want it. You can raise it up, push it down, whatever you want. You adjust it yourself. This bird is super customizable. You can do whatever you want to it. But just bear in mind, we're trying to replicate a bird here, so that's something you got to remember. Make sure there's decent space between the hook and the breast. You can put some glue on the shank here if you want, or you can put it inside the crack, the cut. Don't put it too close to the eye. You don't want to crowd the eye because you're going to have the head of the bird hanging over. And you don't want to have some issues there when you're trying to tie it on. So close it up. Doesn't have to be perfect because the resin's gonna kind of fill that gap in there. So if you do have a space, don't stress about it. So basically when you're done, you're gonna want it to look like that. If it doesn't look like that, just go ahead and trim some. I'm gonna trim right here. If I can get that off. Doesn't really matter. But you can trim it while it's on here. It might be easier for some of you guys that have bigger fingers. Might actually be easier if you glue it down first before you start doing a whole lot of shaping. So there's the bird body. The next part that you're going to want to do is cut out a little tear shape. And this is going to be the head. So with the head, the bottom of the head should be flat. And that makes it easier for this to set on the body. Okay. This one you kind of want to be a little bit better about making sure that it's the right size. So just kind of size it up first before you glue it down. Make sure you got it looking the way you want it to look. Sorry, my fingers are in the way. Just kind of keep an eye on that before you set it on. So the bottom part flat makes it easier to sit on. Make sure that you don't put the beak too close to the eye. So, we're keeping track of our eye here. You don't want it to hang over too much, so just keep a good eye on that. Of course, the round part is the back of the skull, tip of the beak. Basics of a bird. And this glue sets super fast on foam, so get that bad boy on there where you want it to go. And there you go. Looks like a little peep. And gonna have turn around there. That's what's gonna look like on the top. That's the side. Baby bird. Again, color doesn't matter because you're gonna be painting it. So if this is a pattern you decide you want to do a lot, what makes it a little bit easier is if you take a thick piece of paper like cardstock and you fold it in half and you kind of cut out just a little chicken wing shape like that. And I cut it so you have kind of a stencil here to work with. And you put it right here on your sheet and then just cut around it, and there you go, you have wings. So I already have some pre-cut ones. I cut a lot of these ahead of time just to make things easier if I'm making these birds a lot. So that's what it's going to look like when you're done there. It is like the same color as my skin, so it was hard to see, but there you go. Now you're going to kind of position it on your bird, see where you want to put it. If it's not the right shape, do some adjustments. Just kind of keep an eye on where things are going here, how you want them to look, size them up a little, do some trimming. I'm going to go ahead and trim a little bit. So if you decide that you like the shape, and you're comfortable with it, go ahead and cut down the middle. So you're going to separate these wings. I just keep them in one piece because it makes it easier and you don't have a bunch of little tiny wings floating around. So there you go. That's what they look like when they're cut apart. You can put them on there. Before you decide to glue them on, what you're going to want to do is cut the inside that you're going to glue down on the bird at an angle. So you taper that off a little bit, and that makes it easier to stick to the back of the bird when you're gluing it down. So this one, like I said, is going to be super fast because these can be super time consuming, so I'm just trying to kind of do this so we're not wasting a whole lot of time on the simple things like gluing and stuff. And when you do that little taper, it kind of makes it seamless. So you have a nice flat taper right there. And now you got one wing. This one isn't perfect. This is just basically, we're doing a little test run right here so you see. So you shape it to how you feel is perfect for you. Second wing, we're going to do the same thing. Taper it off. A quick cut. Boom, that's done. A little glue on it. Get that on there. Bam. So I did this one fast. I already have a model that's already been cut and glued, so you can see. So there you go. Really simple. Super, super simple. And from this point, you choose how you want to do the rest of it. Like I said, you can do native birds to your area, or you can do, you know, pink, black, whatever you want. Now right here I'm going to show you all these little divots and little cut creases. It doesn't matter, because when you lay on the resin, I'm not going to lay on the resin because it takes it's time consuming, and we all pretty much know how to lay on some resin. So you want something nice and thick. I use the Thick Hard formula by Solarez. Lay it on here. First, before you do that, if you are going to paint your bird first before you put the resin on. It just makes it a little bit easier, because the paint dries in the foam faster than it does hard resin. When you do put the resin on, some tips that I'm going to give you with these little guys is if you put a thick glob of it on there, these, you can really spread it around nicely, and it doesn't leave big gaps or streaks, you know. Just don't push too hard. The harder you push, the more you're making a space in between the resin and the ball. So if you just do it lightly, you can spread it around real nice and get a lot of good coverage. And then right here with the tip, you can get around some of the hard to reach spots around the neck and things like that. So I'm gonna show you this one that's already done. Again, this is the one that we've done. Now I put marabou on the back, and what you're gonna want to do when you do that is after you're done painting, you're gonna have your completely finished product before you decide to put the marabou on. It just little tiny details real quick. Black around the eyes. Baby birds have real thin skin. Their eyes are still developing. They're not open yet, so it looks like a black eye. That's just a little detail I put in. A little bit of black around the wings right here, just where the baby feathers are coming in. Again, the skin is thin, so you can see little guts in there. So a little bit of black for the guts. I kept the beak yellow. So when you put the marabou on, what you're going to want to do, you have two options. You can use the Zap-A-Gap real quick and just put it on there, kind of dab that marabou on lightly, just kind of create a little feather look. Or if you want, you can use something else. I use the Bone Dry, the Solarez Bone Dry. Awesome, because it cures super fast. And that basically just sets it in there real quick, so you have your marabou on there. Again, you can use any color you want. You can customize it you want. You can make different sizes, whatever you want. They're super, super simple and really beginner friendly, like I was saying. I have had luck with these guys. I've actually used them on East Walker, and I've gotten a couple fish off of it. I've used it at the game ranch out here. Got a couple panfish off of it. Now I'm going to show you something real quick. If you don't use enough resin, that's going to happen. This little guy got hit pretty hard, and he lost a wing because I didn't put enough resin on, or I put too soft a resin. So want to make sure that you're not getting any play in there, no flex, because if you do, you're going to lose some parts. One of the other concerns that people had was getting caught up on the wings when you cast. I didn't have any problems with it. Make sure that you're casting with finesse, don't whipping it around. If you're whipping it around, you're going to have some issues. Now, these guys float awesome. As long as you make sure you don't put too much resin on, which, you know, you'd have to put a whole lot on for it to not float. But if, for casting purposes or fishing purposes, you want to make sure that you're using this in an area where there are birds present and the fish know that. Out here we have a rock cliff that hangs over the river, and there are a lot of swallows that nest up there, and the birds know that, or the fish know that the birds are up there. So I cast this out there, and it did great. One of the other spots is under trees or dense riparian areas, where, you know, nests are likely to be found. Use them along that. Use them along that so they can, the fish can, you know, be a little bit tricked a little bit easier by them. But they do work. They're awesome. They're fun to tie. They can be time consuming, so I skipped the painting part. Like I said, just look up some baby birds online or birds in your area, or you can just do the simple parts. If you want to do marabou on it, use any color marabou you want. I'm trying to think what else. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's super simple. It's very beginner friendly. Just make sure that you have the basics of your resin, your glues, and your foam. And I hope that you guys can tie a fly base off this video. I tried to do it fast because, like I said, these things can take forever. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me anything. And happy tying. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope we get some beginners out here trying this, because this is a very fruitful fly to use, and it'll definitely put you in a good mood when you catch something off of it. Plus, it's cool because not a lot of people, I mean, I haven't really seen these around, and I know a lot of other people haven't, which is why I get asked to make a video about this often. And you can have a new cool fly to show your friends that actually works. But there you go. Now you have the pattern. I hope you guys enjoy. If you want to send me your different variations, then show me your works of art. I want to see all the different things that you guys have tied. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys soon.